Hey friends, this is Eric the Mind Control Guy. The other day I made a video. In fact, I made a number of videos over the last several days, and one of them I got pretty pissed off. When I hear people say they don't want to get into conspiracies, my basic answer is why not? My response is why not? You know, this book here, the very title, The Assassination of Abraham Lincoln and the Conspiracy of 1865. It wouldn't be titled that if there wasn't, just like the Kennedy assassination. You know, conspiracy, oh yeah. You know, why were so many different pieces cut out of the Zapruder film? My guess is because those pieces that were cut out recorded more shots than the official version says. You know, probably around a dozen shots were fired at President Kennedy. Different guns, different angles, the whole bit. Just like with Mr. Trump. At least 3 shooters. And who really knows where all these shooters were? Of course, the patsy, the fall guy on the roof. Then you had one in the water tower up there. You could very blurry version of it, but you can still see somebody moving around up there. It's talked about that the building that the kid was on, around there was a window that was open, and there was a shot probably fired from there. There very well, some of the trees there very well could have been fired from there. There may have even been a shot fired from behind the crowd. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. You know, after the Kennedy assassination, there was roughly 200 witnesses that mysteriously turned up dead. Now it's going to be interesting to see who all turns up dead. The head of the Secret Service, she got the hell grilled out of her a day or so ago. And they just ripped into her, wow. Like a buzzsaw on a piece of wood. I mean, they just tore into her bad. She's climbing up. Give her sodium pentothal and then let's see what she has to say. Everybody involved. Let's give them sodium pentothal, you know, truth serum, and then let's see what they have to say. You know, when Wild Bill Clinton was president, anybody who knew dirt on Clinton mysteriously turned up dead. And some of his friends who were called in over the whole Whitewater land deal. I remember Mr. Webb Hubbell was saying they can indict my dog, they can indict my cat. I ain't saying nothing. Susan McDougal, she wouldn't testify against Bill. Jim McDougal, he wouldn't testify. He ended up going to jail. He didn't like being in jail, and he supposedly was saying, you know what? I don't like being here, to hell with it. I'm going to start telling what I know. All of a sudden, he dies of a heart attack. I was told years ago that people who were directly or indirectly knew things about the Clintons that died was roughly the amount of people who were killed at Pearl Harbor. Ron Brown had a 38-count indictment against him. He said, if I go down, Clinton goes down. They shot him in the back of the head, put him on a plane, and the plane mysteriously crashed. They figured it would destroy the body. It didn't. When they found the body of former Commerce Secretary Ron Brown, it had a .45 caliber bullet hole in the back of his head. Oh yeah. So many people who knew things about the Clintons mysteriously turned up dead. It's going to be interesting to see how many people on the inside that knew things and witnesses and all this mysteriously turn up dead. Of course, now in the age of camera phones, you got things going viral. Well, it kind of makes no sense to whack certain people now unless they know specific things that maybe weren't caught on camera. How many people were in the know, like the head of the Secret Service, other Secret Service agents, people in the FBI, how many people, professional people, we're not talking about Jim Bob sitting on the side of the road with a beer in his hand. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the professionals who were in the know, who knew things. How many of these people are going to start turning up dead? Just like with the assassination of President Kennedy. With that book, The Assassination of Abraham Lincoln and the Conspiracy of 1865, you know, the assassination of President Kennedy, the conspiracy in 1963. Not everybody's a lone gunman. You know, the guy that killed, or he tried to kill presidential candidate George Wallace back in 1972, 52 years ago. Bremer, I think his name was. Lone gunman. Okay. The Hinckley thing, that was the attempted assassination of President Reagan. That was hokey all the way around. The assassination of President McKinley back in 1901. They say lone gunman. The assassination of President Garfield some years before that. They say lone gunman. Not everybody's a lone gunman. Sometimes they appear to be a lone gunman. But then a lot of times the lone gunman is all of a sudden shut up. Like Lee Harvey Oswald, like this Crooks kid. Lone gunmen a lot of times get shut up real fast if there was other involvement. If he was just a lone nut job, man. Anyway, it's going to be real interesting to see what happens, because it looks like Biden, or the guy who's portraying Biden, looks like he's on his deathbed, if he's not already dead by now. And Kamala Harris is fixing to probably take the oath of office within the next week. Step up. It's going to be interesting to see who ends up becoming vice president for the next few months. But this next election is probably going to be extremely chaotic, everything leading up to it. We're living in very trying times. We are living history right now. It's going to be interesting to see what plays out. Is there going to be an election? Is there going to be a big EMP? Is there going to be a mass communications blackout? Is the grid going to go down? Are we going to be invaded? Who knows? But all these things that people who have been slandered for decades as so-called conspiracy nuts like myself, things are coming to pass. And it's going to be interesting to see just how far it goes and how bad it really gets. Thanks for listening.